Hello. I think we're live now.
Yeah, we are.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
And welcome to our Hour of Code webinar. I'm going to switch right over to the slides.
We should introduce ourselves, maybe?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, I'm Nick Gonzalez.
And I'm Haruna.
And I'm Rashmi.
Thank you for joining us.
All right. So again, welcome to our webinar. And in case you just joined, I am taking you right to our YouTube page just to show you where the chat window is. If you have any questions, our chat window is over on the right-hand side. And mute my computer, that's better. And on the right-hand side, you can type in your questions, and we'll be monitoring that as we go.
So today we're going to start with...
I know, I turned it off. Thank you.
So today we're going to go over this. Our agenda for today is we're going to go through what the Hour Code actually is. We're going to take you through our Hour Code website and resources. We're going to go over the BPS at Hour Code student contests. Our next steps, we're going to take you through the first 10 minutes of an Hour Code. Sorry, we're going to take you through the first 10 minutes of an HOC activity. This is for basics, and I have a Q&A session as well.
So, what is the Hour of Code? Hour of Code is an annual global movement to introduce the concept of computer science and to just raise awareness for computer science. And the goal is to have all the students experience at least 1 hour of coding or computer science or programming activities during the Computer Science Education Week, which this year is December 5 through 11. And it's an awareness event. It is not intended to make anybody into a computer science expert in an hour, but it's more to have fun and let students know what computer science is and why it's important.
So for your typical Hour of Code activity, we recommend that you introduce students to computer science. So what is computer science and why it is important, how it is implemented in different career fields. That's a nice introduction. Then sort of go into engaging them into different coding activities. And there are many different options that we'll discuss today, and you will see on code.org as well. So HOC tutorial could be one. You can do some hands-on activities or block coding activities, which go from scratch, star logo, to text-based coding, which could be Python, JavaScript, and so on and so forth. And any other activities that can involve coding, including robotics, Arduinos, or Raspberry Pis.
And to wrap up, so you want to talk about what the students actually learned about coding and why it was fun for them. You know, really get into the nuts and bolts of it. You know, what did they find interesting? What did they engage in? And we'd like even some of your own feedback as well might help. What did they find exciting, and how did they respond to the activities? Also, this isn't just a one-time thing. It is obviously to raise awareness of computer science and its importance in education. But we'd also like, to take this for teachers to take this a step further and pursue it on their own as well. And so we want to let you know where to find some of the resources if you want to go, for example, what we call beyond the Hour of Code and implement computer science into your curriculum. Okay, and then we're also going to look into certificates. I'm sorry, and you'll be getting a certificate from us as well. We're having some technical difficulties, and we're just going to try to figure them out really quickly. Please bear with us, folks.
So we're not really sure what the issue is, but we're going to keep on going. Right. Hopefully you can hear us.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, we're back.
Yes. So we have the BPS Hour of Code website, which looks like this.
tiny.cc/BPSHOC.
Right.
And the address is also on the bottom of the page once we move off this
Page.
slide. So
Perfect.
that's our page. Do you want to show the Hour of Code page as well? Or?
Yes. How about and this is the official Hour of Code website. So this is where you can go find some additional activities as you engage your students. What we have on our BPS Hour of Code website are some recommended activities. Of course, as you go through or browse through the top window, you have registrations and how you can get involved. And then we have the resources, which start from resources for elementary grades. So let's go into that.
Okay, so what we've done in this website is sort of break it down by grade level and pick out several tutorials that we think are good among all of the different ones that Hour of Code website has listed, just to kind of make it easier for you to find a good tutorial for your class. So for elementary, we broke it down even further into pre-K through 2 and 3 through 5.
Mm-hmm.
And the big differences here is whether the kids are pre or early readers versus they are able to read. So for the very early kids, these are some of the recommendations. This one activity that I really like is this My First Computer activity is for very, very young kids. Even K0 or K1 kids can do this. If you click on this, it'll take you right to a template and a lesson plan that takes you through building your first computer. And you might think this has nothing to do with coding, but understanding how computers work and that computers have an operating system and that there are components inside the computer that make it work is actually a big part of computer science and learning how computers work.
Okay, folks, those of you listening out there right now, if you can please mute your Google Hangout, that would really help us. That might really help with the echoes if we're still experiencing it. So anybody else is watching online, please mute your Google Hangout, which is the microphone in the top left hand. Okay.
Because they're not presenters.
Mm-hmm. Right.
In any case, if you are.
Yeah. And then for, let's say for 3 to 5, I'm just gonna put you in one of them. So this is the Coding with Anna and Elsa, which was a new tutorial introduced a couple of years ago and was a hit with a lot of students. And this is how a typical Hour of Code tutorial will look like. It usually starts out with a video that introduces students to the whole concept and how this tutorial works. I'm gonna skip right ahead. But after the students finish watching this video, they will press this X to close the video, and it takes you right into a block coding tutorial. And once you code, let's say you drag the block out, click, and then you hit run to demonstrate what you've done. And as you complete your tasks, you keep on moving through the lesson. And if you can see on the top here, there are different dots. That's basically your different lessons. And once you're done with all of them, which it's supposed to take about an hour, you have finished your Hour of Code and you will get a link to a certificate. Okay, so those are recommendations for elementary, and we also have some video resources for you to help describe computer science to your younger students. Moving on to middle school.
Mm-hmm. So similar to what you saw for resources for elementary, we have listed resources for elementary grades, middle school grades 6 to 8. And as you can see, there are many different examples. We'll quickly look at, this Animate Your Name in Scratch is a really nice example of block coding. This is also one of the contests, which you will know about as we go through the Hangout. But this is a great activity that you can you might get an icon saying Control-click to play Scratch, and if you do that, it will start your Flash player or Flash plugin, and you will get to the activity. And you should be able to look at the video and then actually do the activity of animating your name. I'm not going to go through the details of this activity because later on we are going to show you one specific activity through the whole process of doing the activity. I'm sorry. So the next resources that we are going to look at are for the high school. This is a nice little out of code activity processing with out of code. It takes a little bit of time to load, but when we say click here to begin, it's going to start again with the video. And when you close the video, it will give you you could go through the hello and then shapes, colors. So there are different activities that you could go to. So there is, as you saw, I just clicked on jump to lesson or jump to exercises. So there is a little bit of an explanation, and then you will jump into the next lesson about shapes. And you can do that with processing code embedded into the website, or there is a way you can download processing on your computer and do that activity. So this is just in terms of some of the resources for high school. This is a really nice Star Wars out of code activity. Is a really great activity that allows you to look into blocks and JavaScript coding. And Nick is going to explain that activity details. So let me go back to our out of code website and
just one thing that I forgot to mention is any of these tutorials that, as you've noticed, does not require any sign-in. All of these activities that were designed for the hour of code are approximately 1 hour long and intended to be finished in one sitting. So there are no login, no sign-in required. You just click on a link and students can start right away. There are some activities that are part of a longer course that if you can sign in, the students can save their progress and pick up where they left off, which, for example, for the high school, this accelerated intro to CS course is part of what's called Code Studio, which has multiple courses aimed for different age groups. And this is part of a 20-hour course, so you could get started on this, let's say, during the hour of code, and then use it throughout the year as an extension activity in your class. And if you were doing any of these courses, you could log in through your BPS digital backpack, which would let you log in with your Google account, and it also gives you access to a bunch of other tools, including other coding tools such as Code Academy or Code High School. And code.org is where you'll find the Code Studio. And this is synced with your SIS account, and it will pull in your students' rostering information right in, so you won't have to make your own classes in here. So that's for the advanced accelerated intro to CS course for high schools, or if you're in elementary, we have course 1, Code Studio course 1, and Code Studio course 2. And there's also course 3 as well for middle school, I believe. Is it time to go into the competitions?
Yeah. So you've probably seen the flyers for the competition. We have,
sorry, I'm going to close that.
Absolutely.
Sorry, too many windows open. There we go.
Yes. So you've seen the student contest flyer, and we have 8 competitions that have been launched, or they will be launched on December 5th. You can still be working on these competitions. The details of these competitions of the student contest are right here. And
so we designed 8 different challenges to try to address everybody's all kind of skill levels and age groups. So so we have things like Scratch challenge. We have game design challenge that could be done in Scratch, Star Logo, or App Inventor. We have a web development challenge, dynamic visualization
dynamic visualization
challenge that you could do with different languages. Yeah. There's Python and Java, which are 2 of the popular text-based coding platforms used in middle schools and high schools. And we also have a photo and caption contest, as well as an essay contest for participants. So just going a little bit deeper into some of these. So the essay contest will be divided into different grade levels for grades elementary, middle, and high. And we will provide you with templates, which will be posted shortly. I guess it was supposed to be posted already, but we have not. But we will be posting those very shortly.
Yes.
And this is intended for students who have done coding before, or maybe it's their first time, but we just want to hear about what they learned and what their experience was. And again, you know, and even students who did a hands-off, I mean, not hands-off, non-tech activity, unplugged activity, as we call it, can participate in this as well. And same thing with the photo and caption contest. Just the important little thing here is photo needs to be an original photo, so we don't want you to download a picture from web and use that, obviously. It does not need to contain the student. It could be a picture of their photo of their work, or photo of the back of their heads or hands or whatever. The caption needs to be generated by the student, although teachers may transcribe it, especially for younger students if writing it down is an issue.
Right.
So we're so again, that's an activity that anybody can participate in, and we have some instructions of how to enter the different formats we'll be accepting, and all of the entry forms will be live next week during the Hour of Code week, right on the site, and we'll have clear instructions at that time on how to submit your entries. And you could be, so we're only going to be accepting entries starting next week. However, you could be working on the projects already. So if students have some projects that they've already done, maybe in your class or even in a club, or during the Boston STEM Week, for example, you're welcome to take that and enter those as well. And in addition to the student raffles, student contest, we are going to have instructor raffles, which I don't have a link here, sorry about that. Go back to the flyer. No, wrong one. Did I close that? Oh, here. So we will have opportunities for teachers and schools to enter in a raffle. So once you complete the Hour of Code with your students, you can enter the raffle, and again, the instructions for that will be on our website. And we will have prizes for teachers, schools, and classrooms.
With higher participation.
Yep. Okay. So that's the competition, and we will take you into next steps. So back to our slides.
Okay, so our next steps are as follows. So what you should do is, if you don't have anything squared away yet, or you don't have, you're not quite sure what's going to be happening at your school, and you've never done this before, these are some good steps to follow to get you prepared for your Hour of Code activity. So first things first, before the Hour of Code, so things you should preferably do this week, check with your school about technology availability and schedule. So make sure if you're going to do something, online with your class, and each student needs a device, make sure you have those devices scheduled and ready to go for next week, during the time that you want to do your Hour of Code activity. Come to our website and check in, not just before, but you're going to actually continually access it throughout Hour of Code week and even after, because we'll have updates and whatnot, but also identify an activity for your students. So please get a feel for the activity before you actually give it to the student. Get your hands dirty. That's that's one of the secrets in learning how to code and getting better with technology is just getting your hands dirty, trying it out. Everybody has difficulty with it in the beginning. So if you're brand new and it intimidates you, don't worry. It's intimidated us all at one time or another in our lives. So yeah, go in there and try it out for yourself. See how it's going to apply to your students. Yeah, and again, try out the activity to familiarize yourself with it. So during the week, okay, spend at least 1 hour. So in order to do Hour of Code, you have to do at least 1 hour or one period with your students during the week. That's what Hour of Code is. So yeah, again, spend at least 1 hour or one period with your students doing a planned HOC activity. Encourage and help students to enter one of our student contests. So if you think any of our activities, or any of our challenges or contests apply to your students, please, by all means, have them enter the activity or enter it for them. Enter a teacher raffle as well. We have lots of prizes to give away. So we really want to get the word out. We really want to help out teachers and the students that are participating in this. And most of all, have fun. It really is a good time with students, and it's great. A lot of students and a lot of teachers and the schools. It's great to be a part of something bigger than our district and in our state, our country. It's nice to be a part of something that the entire world's doing at the same time, and that's a big turn-on. That's a big positive point, because the entire world's doing this at the exact same time. So to be a part of that is something great. And after the hour code, please make sure that you have, if you've entered your raffles or you want to have your students enter a contest or enter a challenge, please make sure that they have entered it during this time. Be on the lookout for emails if your students win, right? And inform students about future opportunities in CS and coding as well, right? In terms of being on the lookout for emails, yeah, we'll probably be giving you some updates after as well. So yeah, just keep an eye out for us. And again, inform students about future opportunities in CS and coding as well.
And as you've seen on Clever as well, you have Code Academy, code.org, and Code CS, Code High School. So those are really great places where you can go in to do some beyond out of code activities, or even go in and take a course, as we mentioned before.
So I think now Nick is going to tell you a little bit about how to start your hour of code activity. And this is, one of the multiple ideas, but she's kind of going to run you through it. So
yeah, 1 second. I'll just go through. So first things first. So what I like to do in the beginning, when I if you're brand new to this and you don't have the basics down, or you're just getting the basics down right now, what I really like to do before I start an activity or an HOC activity with my students is to let them know a little bit about computer science and what it actually does. Show them how it really works on a computer or on a device. And so one way I really like to show students how this works is, and this works for almost any grade level because I've used it from high school all the way to first grade, what I do is I go to my Chrome browser, like the one I have on right now, and I actually look up the image of a car. What I do is I show them a car and I ask them, for example, Haruna or Rashmi, can you tell me what you see here when you see a car?
We see an amazing Prius.
See Prius, excellent.
a wheel.
A wheel.
A wheel.
And then
lights.
Windshields.
A hood.
A door, right? And so we see all of these things, and this is what I ask the students to do. I ask them to, I tell them about a car, and I show them. I'm sorry, they explain what they see, and usually they see the exterior of a car. And what I do is I pose a question to them, and I ask them, well, does the car need any of these things to run? And most of the time, I'll say, I'll say outside of the wheels, right? Does it need any other thing that was explained or mentioned to actually run down the street? And most of the time, I hear no. And then I go, why? And then the students say, well, it needs an engine to run, or it needs a transmission to run. But most of the students say it needs a motor. And then I'll ask the students, well, do you see a motor here? And most of the students will say no, because in fact, you do not see a motor here. But sometimes you'll get the student that does say he sees a motor, but I tend to shy away from that. But yes, so most of the students will say a motor, and then I'll say, well, look, that's the same thing with the internet or with the computer. With the internet or with a computer, I ask them, well, look, you see the internet, you see what's in front of you, and you see the car here, but you don't see what actually powers the internet. And so what I'll do is I'll right-click, it has to be in a Chrome browser, I'll right-click over the image, and I'll come down here to inspect. When I click inspect, it shows me the actual code, right? And so I'll tell the students, well, this is like the engine. You see the image here on a computer, right? But you don't see the programming that's behind it, and you don't see what's the code. This is when I tell the students the car is like the face of the computer, and this is like an engine. So they don't see it, but this is actually what's powering the image and with powering what they're seeing on the computer. And so they get into it a little bit that way, and I show them the different parts of code and explain that this is HTML and that there are different languages and whatnot, like Java or SQL, CSS, JavaScript, and whatnot. And from there, I'll go straight to the HOC page, right? So I'll take them, I'll say, well, look, today I'm going to show you how to design a video game, right? And from here, I'll go to the HOC page, which is here. And I'll click to resources, right? And one that's pretty standard that works pretty much for every grade level that I've come into contact with is, I come down here and we're going to work off of Star Wars today. This is a big hit with all the students that I've worked with. I'm going to click on Star Wars, and it's going to redirect me. And from here, I'm going to go to Try Now. And I'm going to use blocks, not JavaScript, but blocks. However, let me give you a little disclaimer. If you've had students have done Star Wars before. It's 2 years old already. So if you've done Hour of Code already, then that's fine. You're free, feel free to use this activity again. But if you have had students that are familiar with block coding or are already doing stuff with computer science, encourage them to do the JavaScript activity, which is more syntax based, where they actually have to type out the code. It's not like block coding. So say if you have some students that are a little bit advanced and you want to give them something a little more advanced to work on, then feel free to give them JavaScript. But for a lot of the students that we're going to be working with who aren't familiar with block coding or with CS, and if you're a teacher who's not all that familiar as well, we really encourage you to use the block section of the Star Wars activity. So I'm going to go to try now.
And you can actually toggle back and forth after you choose. So
Right.
you don't feel like you're stuck with one if you choose one or the two.
Right.
Correct. Okay, so I'm going to take you through the first couple of minutes of this activity. Haruna's shown you a little bit of what to do, but I'm gonna actually I'm gonna extend it out. We're gonna actually watch the tutorial, and then I'm gonna show you how to do the first activity and how to run it and what you need. I'm gonna explain everything you need to see. So once you press try now, a tutorial is gonna pop up. Right,
My sound is muted, so you're probably not going to see anything, hear anything.
But you will be able to see the closed captions. Yeah.
And if you play this on your computer, you should hear sound.
Right.
There will be sound and there will be actual talking voices.
Right.
And one thing too, I'm going to go ahead and pause it for a sec. One thing we advise too is that please, if you're going to do this activity, I encourage you to use headphones. You have each student have headphones, because if not, you don't need them. But your class will be loud, and that's fine, because each of the students will be hearing this through their own computer. So if you don't want your class to be that loud and everyone to be listening to this at the exact same time, with their speakers all the way turned up, then please have them use earphones if they're available. Otherwise, it's fine. They're not necessary, but it's just something that I've come into contact with, and it's a lot easier when the students have their own earphones. So I'm going to go ahead and play this. So you see, it's quite interesting. They show shots of the movie.
You see the droid, and you have the captions already listed. So that's another way of making sure it's inclusive and accessible to all students.
Right. And so it's great because it also shows, people who are in industry, and they're talking about how they use coding within their job. Also shows Schools Monsters as well. So now she's talking about block programming and what the different blocks do, right? And who's going to be within your program. So right here on the left, you have your game space, and these are the instructions that the students need to follow. This is your toolbox. This is where students assemble their code. And this is their workspace, where they use the tools that they use from the toolbox. So I'm gonna pause it here just for a second, just to show you, just to talk about what's happening right here. So you'll see that you have your right here. You have your BB-8 droid right here, and he needs to get the supplies, right? And you need to get him to the supplies. So when you press the run button, you have this when run here, and then you have the run button here as well. You're going to need to connect the correct blocks to this run button. And what you do when you do that, you're actually giving direction to the droid. And in order for the function to happen, in order for this to execute, you have to press run. And she'll see that. So right now, when she presses run, BB-8's going to move to the left, and then it's going to move up.
And reposition.
And then it's going to, when it gets done, it needs to, she presses reset and it goes back to the center. Okay, so that's the end of the introduction. And that, again, this is all the video, and the students will be able to hear it or be able to read it when they get, when it's in front of them. Okay, after this, what you need to do is actually, just like Karuna said, you're gonna have to close the video box, okay? And there it is in front of you, okay? At a second move, now it's telling you what you need to do. In the video, it said that the instructions will be down here. They're actually up here on the top of your workspace. So we need to get the scrap metal, which is right here. PBA, can you get it? And you're going, okay, right? Now it's telling you exactly what you need to do right here. And so I'm gonna go ahead and close. It's asking me to add a second move right command to your code, then click here to run it. So I'm gonna go ahead and close that out when I'm finished, right? I already have a move right code that's already there, but it needs to go twice because it's 2 spaces away. So what I'm gonna do is grab this, click on it, hold it down, and then move it right under the move right. Now you have it twice, and all I have to do is press run. Say congratulations, I completed puzzle 1, right? And I'm going to go to continue. Now from here, pretty much the students know, in every experience I've had with students in the classroom, almost every student I know knows how to run it from here. You can pretty much just say, okay, take it away. The code.org studio and the Star Wars activity will run itself after this. In about 3 more lessons, you'll get another tutorial video that comes on, and more towards the end of the hour of code, which this is about, there's about 15 activities in this particular lesson. Towards the end, they'll get another video, and then it'll finish. And again, this whole thing should run you about an hour. Some students finish it really quickly, and if that be the case, you can have them do the JavaScript, or you can point them to another code.org activity.
Can you show them?
Yeah, sure.
Where?
Right.
Yeah, just show code. If you go to show code, so we have just one command, so it's going to.
Yeah, just show the.
Right.
You can have them, and this is another way they can look at their code as well. This is how it looks like. They look like blocks right here, but the actual code that they that's being done is here again, right? So that's just one of the other things they can do. They can check out to see as the codes get longer, because this will get throughout the course of the activities. This gets pretty long, but again, students these code.org activities, they essentially run themselves, and you'll find that students will be incredibly engaged and want to finish, and will eventually move on to other activities.
And most of the ones that were designed by code.org is the same format, with the video and with the similar looking blocks, similar looking run button, similar menu along the top. So if you've gone through one of these, it's very easy for students to pick up and try another one. So if you get students who said, oh, I've done the Star Wars one last year, then you could either point them to the text version, the Java portion, or you could have them try out another one.
And another one could be like the ones she just, like Haruna just showed. You have Elsa. You also have, various ones in our website. I'm sorry. There are other ones here from course. From the Computer Science Fundamentals course from the Code Studio.
The other website.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Website.
It's the 20-hour one.
Yeah.
And they just released a new one with the new Disney movie.
Moana.
That's Moana.
Yes.
Moana.
Minecraft was really great as well.
Wayfinding with code.
Right.
And so this is the full list from Hour of Code. We picked and chose from this list to put together our recommended list. But if you go here, you'll see a lot more than what we put on our website, and each of them come with a brief description as well as a recommended grade level. So you can use that as a guideline to see which one you should be using with your students.
Right, and right above here, you see that you can also choose the grade level you want. So it will list some of the tutorials that are recommended for those grades as well. So that's another way of parsing through some of these tutorials. But they're all, again, they follow the same pattern, the way the play works and how you construct it. So that's a great way of progressing through different tutorials.
Right. So there it is. That's your first 10 minutes right there in terms of how to run an hour code activity. Again, you're free to use this activity or the JavaScript the Star Wars activity or the JavaScript activity. Some of your students may have done this already, so we encourage you to really look around. If you find that many of your students have done Star Wars, again, please have them do something that's maybe a little more advanced or a little more difficult. Yeah.
And if you find that you have difficulty getting your hands on computers or Chromebooks or tablets, there are a lot of unplugged activities, which are, I'm trying to find the filter here, but I can't find a filter. Oh, no devices. So if you click on that little filter that says no computers or devices, all of these activities are what's called unplugged, which are activities that relates to coding but does not require any computers. So you can definitely do these activities as well, and some of these are for upper grades, and you basically learn how to think logically and solve puzzles, but without the use of the computer. So you might be using, there's a cup stacking one. There are some coloring pixels, and there's different things you can do, but there are a lot of different unplugged activities you could do with students. So don't have technology be like the roadblock. If that's an issue, there are other options as well.
There is also one more choice that you have as you go through block coding or text-based coding or others. So that's another way of parsing through the activities as you progress through different activities or different tutorials.
So we do have a meetup scheduled on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday at 4 p.m. This is gonna be a social event, just to celebrate the Hour of Code and meet other educators that are doing the Hour of Code, exchange ideas, maybe meet some of the volunteers that may be helping out. And it will be at the Canary Square restaurant in Jamaica Plain on Wednesday, November 30th at 4 p.m. And if you could RSVP at the URL tiny.cc/BPSHOC social.
Light food's going to be provided, and there are also going to be members from the tech industry there as well, from Boston's awesome tech industry. So yeah, you're going to have people from Facebook there, and you're going to have people from all around. So please make it a point to come out and have a good time with us. Again, it's going to be a meetup. There's not going to be a real big agenda to it or anything like that. We just want you guys to get together and get to know each other and find out what each other, what you guys are doing.
And we will be there to answer any questions if you have anything.
Exactly.
Right. Again, just coming back to our BPS Hour of Code website, it is tiny.cc@BPSHOC. And you can always email us at bpscomputerscience@bostonpublicschools.org if you have any questions. Do keep in mind the contests go live on December 5th, and you can start submitting them. So wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for listening.